My staff's given me notes, but I'm going to speak from here because this has been a major goal of this administration, which actually started this effort when I was Mayor of Charlotte. Because when I was Mayor of Charlotte, and I also recognized when I became governor, the 74th governor of the greatest state in the United States of America, that there were many strengths, but one of the weaknesses we had was to find startup funds for young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs. And I heard this time and time again during my tenure as mayor, and I also began hearing it very quickly as governor. In other words, what North Carolina didn't have was a type of Shark Tank mentality. We didn't have a Shark Tank process to allow people to acquire funds, startup funds, so they can start off building upon brilliant ideas that they and others developed. And this put us at a disadvantage toward other areas in the country, including Austin, Texas, or the Silicon Valley area. And here we have the greatest quality of life, we have a great business environment, we have attainable talent and great talent, and it's an affordable place to recruit talent also. And that gives us an advantage, especially over the Silicon Valley. But if the young graduate coming out of MBA school or college, or just a young person who's come up with a great idea in their garage needs $25 or $50 or $100,000, where do they get it? Especially at a time when many of the banks and other things are much more restrictive on what investment loans they'll give at this point in time. So what we're introducing is a Shark Tank type of concept right here in North Carolina, where we can encourage the entrepreneur and hook them up with investors of all levels of income. It doesn't necessarily have to be an extremely wealthy investor. It can be people like you and me in this room that can maybe go, you know, I'm gonna help this individual with a little bit of money, and I might have an opportunity for return and have not just a financial attachment to a future entrepreneur, but also an emotional attachment. And maybe I can also help give my wisdom and other efforts to help build a person have business. So that is why I'm proud to sign a bill today that will increase access to capital right here in our state through what we term crowdfunding. It solidifies North Carolina's ability to compete in what I call the National Innovation Triangle. There is the Silicon Valley, there's Boston, New York, and I think the third part of the triangle is right here in North Carolina, including right here at the Research Triangle. But we have Charlotte, we have Asheville, we have Winston-Salem, we have Greenville, we have Wilmington, we have the Triad, all great areas for entrepreneurial startup. And so I'd like the entrepreneurs throughout this nation, throughout the world, to consider this state as a great entrepreneurial startup opportunities. And the crowdfunding will allow entrepreneurs and startups and small businesses to raise up to $2 million in capital through small increments from non-accredited investors like me and you. And it'll allow the level playing field for small businesses that don't have access to big banks or major equity firms. And it is critical funding for small businesses which employ 80% of the current workforce. Senate Bill 481 of the NC PACES Act allows North Carolina investors to invest in North Carolina businesses as long as the transactions meet requirements for registration, disclosure, reporting, offering limits, and investment limits. So there are protections also in this bill which are extremely important. You can't just give your money, it's got to go through a process of protections for both the individual giving the money and the individual receiving the money. And the money invested will only be made available once the capital raised from all investors reaches the targeted amount. So it would protect against any type of Ponzi type of effort. They have to get the full amount of money, and it has to be transparent also. This promotes transparency and protects investors while also supporting businesses and entrepreneurs just like here at WebAssign. And what a company this is. And in 1997, innovators and entrepreneurs right here at NC State University developed a tool to provide flexible and unique online instructions that allows teachers to deploy assignments, instantly access individual student performance, and help more students reach their full potential. So this is a great example of a startup company, and look at the amount of employees we have here, and it started also with a small amount of money and investors. So when we entered office, our goal was to help with education, which we've done just recently, which I'd like to thank many of you for supporting the incredible bond campaign of over $2 billion, of which $1 billion went to our universities. And universities, including University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which is investing in a new medical center for the best doctors for the future. NC State University, where we hopefully will help train future agricultural entrepreneurs and biotech entrepreneurs. North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, where we need to develop the best of the best engineers. We're going to be developing new engineering buildings right there. If you notice, the money's going toward tech and going towards sciences, where right now there's a skills gap. So it was very, very targeted. And I'm very, very proud of the Connect NC bonds, and I'd like to thank all those who helped out with that. It's great to see my legislators here. It's great to see Secretary Marshall here, who was a big help on this process. Let's give her a round of applause, too. I want to thank her very much for it. This is a bipartisan effort. This is a bipartisan effort. I especially want to thank Tamara. You have been a real leader in this effort. You represent an area with a lot of startup ideas, and you understand that these startup ideas then need to be presented and given an opportunity to fulfill their potential. And Tamara gets it, and to have the senator really be the lead player in making that happen is, I think, a real testament to her understanding of entrepreneurism, understanding of jobs, and understanding of basic finance, which is so important to North Carolina. So I want to give Tamara a round of applause. Thank you very much. So with that, I want to also thank, I think, just one of the greatest secretaries of commerce that we've ever had in North Carolina history. John Scavarla was an entrepreneur himself. He had a law degree down at Chapel Hill, but he never really wanted to practice law, like a lot of lawyers. He wanted to start up some businesses, and he did just that. And he started up a business right here in the Triangle, which was extremely successful. And I then was allowed to take his entrepreneurial skills and apply that to Secretary of Commerce, and before that, actually, Secretary of Diener, the environmental area. What he is doing for the state of North Carolina, both here in North Carolina and nationally. He just got back from overseas. He's been to China. He understands the entrepreneurial spirit because he is one himself. And he, more than anyone else, has been pushing me on this whole crowdfunding concept. It wouldn't have happened also without Secretary John Scavarla, because he understood the details of how to make this happen and the possible pitfalls that could occur if you don't do it right. So it is my honor to introduce my good friend and our great Secretary of Commerce, John Scavarla.
You know, usually it's the other way around. I'm not accustomed to this. Could I invite Benji Jones, Mark Easley? Where's Mike Arnold? Mike needs to be up here too. Come on, Mike. And Larry Robbins, an attorney here in Raleigh who could not be here, also should be up here. These folks were absolutely instrumental in making this happen. Private practice, entrepreneur, and Secretary's office. You folks were absolutely incredible in causing this to occur, and I'm sorry Larry couldn't be with us. But if any recognition has to be given, and Secretary, thank you for the assistance of your office. I understand you're going to be adding 6 positions to make sure that this administratively goes correctly.
We're going to be answering a lot of questions.
Absolutely. Last Tuesday, we had an announcement in Rocky Mount, North Carolina on an intermodal facility for CSX. And in my humble opinion, that was probably the most important economic announcement that's ever occurred in the history of Eastern North Carolina. Today is equally as important an announcement, because as the governor said, the missing component to grow our economy in all regions of the state is early stage capital. And I have been on this kick since I was at Diener, not just at Commerce. Today is a bellwether day for the state of North Carolina, and is equally important an economic announcement as we did for a specific opportunity in Eastern North Carolina this week. Because this is the opportunity for everyone in every location in North Carolina, whether it be an urban area or a less than urban area, to grow a business, to expand a business, to start a business with the early stage capital they need. We have all the layers of the onion in place. We now have access to early stage capital. We have SBA lending. We have grant programs. We have a public venture capital fund, and we have private venture capital. And Gov, I'm going to be after you for one more. I've got another leg of the stool that we want to put on there. But, but for now, we have the most robust equity system as any state in the United States. So if we are going to consider bellwether days, this has to be something that is for everyone. From our urban areas to our white picket fence communities, we have the opportunity to let the human spirit and the human ingenuity shine, because that's the opportunity that's been given with the signing of this bill. So all involved, I can't thank you enough, and we are going to make sure that we get the rules in place quickly. Senator, we had that conversation.
We did.
And we are going to kick this thing off robustly, vigorously, and for every entrepreneur, every business in the state of North Carolina.
I cannot stress to you how important this bill is for the state of North Carolina. It probably won't be above the fold in the newspaper tomorrow, but it should be, because we could be signing here the next Bill Gates. The next Bill Gates could come here as a result of this signature, and we don't know who that person is. Next Stephen Jobs, the next boss that you have right here. This is the entrepreneurial spirit that we must support, that is the real generator of our economy and of our country's future. So with that, I'm very honored to sign this bill.